All right, class. This lesson is for Tuesday. It is going to be a study guide for the Chapter 9 test. What I plan on doing with the study guide is reviewing the important parts that will be on the test. So please make sure that you watch this video a few times. Make sure that you go back and review some of the homework that went along with these lessons. So the very first part is going to be reviewing the quadratic formula. If you guys take a close look, here is the quadratic formula written right up here. Make sure that you remember that this is a negative b, and that negative part is a part of the formula. Okay, so you'll see here that I've written down a few instructions. It says first, make sure that you can identify a, b, and c. Make sure that your equation is equal to 0, and make sure that you substitute carefully. So this part about substituting carefully, that's where I want to make sure that you remember that this is a negative b, okay? Because that's normally where mistakes will occur. Then make sure that you substitute in the b value here and the a value in these two locations. And then finally your c value in just this one spot. So you go ahead and solve these. You guys can obviously use a calculator if you want. But I do want to show or give you some insight onto the study guides and the testing that you guys are doing online on quizzes. I've noticed that some of you guys are answering the questions when it's the practice test, and you're taking about 30 seconds, 40 seconds to do the questions. That's why you're getting them wrong. Spend some time, solve them, use the paper. These are not timed tests. You guys can take the amount of time that's necessary. It's not, nothing is gonna run out of time. It's not gonna kick you out. There's no time limit. So take your time on each equation, on each question. When you do the Chapter 9 test, it is going to be limited to only 2 opportunities. The last time we took a test, you had 3 chances, and I noticed that many of you guys were answering very quickly. You guys were guessing, okay? Stop that. So make sure that you spend some time on this. Make sure that you're careful. Do a good job, okay? So first part, quadratic formula. Make sure you plug in everything in the right locations. Take your time with it. Substitute correctly. Make sure that your equation is equal to 0. That's always going to be very important. If it's not equal to 0, we've always said, make it equal 0, and then proceed carefully, okay? The second major topic that will be covered on the test is the discriminant. Now, I've listed here the major ideas behind the discriminant. One of those is that what the discriminant actually gives you as a value and what it means. So it states here, if the discriminant value is a positive number, you're going to have 2 solutions, okay? That's going to be very important. The second one says if the discriminant value is a 0, then you will only have 1 solution. And the third part is if the discriminant is a negative number, then you will have no solutions, okay? At least no real solutions. Remember that we've had conversations about imaginary numbers, and I've told you that we're not going to go into that into more detail because that is a topic for Algebra 2, all right? So when the discriminant is negative, you will have no solutions, but those are no real solutions, all right? That is the second component. Here, again, make sure that you substitute correctly into what the discriminant is. You've got the b squared minus the 4ac. Again, this is a part of your quadratic formula. It's the part that's underneath the radical. So make sure that you know where that is from and how you can plug in those values correctly, okay? And the third major topic is completing the square. This is one that will also be on the test. This is the part where this part right here, the completing the square component was actually the part that's missing, and you needed to find that amount so that you could complete the square to get a perfect square trinomial. So normally your equations would just have the x squared and the bx. For example, let's say it was x squared plus 6x, okay? And so then you were required to fill in the blanks. So let's say this was equal to 8. And then what you would be asked to do is just simply figure out what amount would complete the square. So the b part in this case is 6. So what you would do is get half of the 6, which is 3, and then square it, okay? So what you're doing in that case is adding the 3 squared, which is 9, but you have to add that to both sides of your equation. So you end up with a perfect square trinomial, which is x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 17. And then what you would have to do is take this concept here that you take your perfect square trinomial and you factor it by simply taking the b divided by 2 and putting it into your factored form. Again, you take the b divided by 2 and you put that into your factored form. So in this case, my b divided by 2 was 3. So what I would do is just get x plus 3, and that would be my factored form of this perfect square trinomial, x plus 3 to the second power. And that would equal 17. And then I would go ahead and solve it by finding the square root of each side and then simplifying to find the value of x. So again, this will also be on the test. You have several homework activities. You've got other notes to go along with this. Make sure that you spend some time reviewing this. You have 1 day. The test is on Wednesday, okay? So you will have Tuesday to review this lesson. This is Tuesday's lesson. And then Wednesday, the only thing that will show up on Google Classroom will be the link to the test. And that will give you only 2 opportunities. I want you to stop guessing, and I want you to spend more than 30 seconds on each of the questions. Okay? All right. Good luck. See you guys on Wednesday.